Big news today in the news business. Gannett, the nation's largest publisher, is proposing to buy Tribune Publishing for a total deal worth $815 million. That includes $400 million in cash and the assumption of Tribune's debt, valuing the company at a 63% premium to Friday's closing price. Gannett, which owns USA Today, is looking to aggressively grow the network. WSJ's media and marketing reporter Lukas Alpert joins us now to discuss. Welcome, Lukas. So it turns out Gannett has had its eye on Tribune for a while. Did they make an offer last month?
Well, no, it was actually earlier this month. They approached them, and this was obviously behind closed doors that they made the offer. But they made it public today. They said they weren't pleased with Tribune's response. Tribune obviously didn't seem like they weren't quite sure how to respond to it. And so they made it public. Obviously, they want to kind of rattle the shareholders a little bit. So, that seems to be where...
So it's fair to say Tribune has been caught a little off guard by all this?
It seems so. I mean, they just had a big shakeup of management and ownership recently. They took on a majority shareholder, came in very recently. He, installed his own CEO and changed up the board quite a bit. But that's very recent. So, he obviously had some plan. He's a local Chicago guy. The Chicago Tribune is sort of one of the flagships of that chain. So I think he had some ideas that he really was going to turn this thing around on his own. It sounds like maybe they weren't expecting this to come just now.
So Gannett, obviously, the nation's largest publisher, USA Today network, is huge. What is Gannett's long-term goal here?
Well, they've been in an acquisition mode. They recently completed a spinoff from Television Properties, and out of that, they said we're acquiring things. And they just completed a deal to buy 15 papers, Journal Media Group. But most of the stuff they target are kind of these medium-sized market things. This is a lot bigger than anything they've ever looked at by a lot. So it's an interesting thing. I think at this point, the prices are very low in the newspaper world. So I think that might be something they realize that maybe now's a good time.
Now's a good time. Yeah. Now, but you make a good point, though. Won't they face these same, look at the digital publishing world. That seems to be on the rise, and newspaper publishing seems to continue to decline. So won't they face the same pressures even when they acquire all these new papers? Well,
if you kind of go down the acquisition route, like large-scale acquisition, if prices are low enough, if you continually add more and more revenue, you kind of offset the shortfalls elsewhere. So that can only go on for so long, but they can take costs out of this. They have a very large network across the country. There's synergies and cost efficiencies that they can put in place that they've done before. That may work here. Right.
If you had to predict what Tribune might do here, what do you think?
I think they're going to go ahead with this. Yeah. It's really a matter. This guy who just came in, James Farrow, he took over the company at a very low price. So, this price is substantially higher. He could walk away with a lot of money.
Shareholders.
The shareholders are, I think, all a bit anxious to see some sort of resolution here. The company's not in great shape.
Yes.
So, it may spur other people to come out of the woodwork, though. Who knows?
But, this looks like a huge deal, right? $400 million in cash, but it pales to the deals being done on the digital side.
You definitely have, valuations on digital side are substantially higher nowadays. I think there's a lot of, I don't want to say wishful thinking, but, greater hopes, obviously, for that side of the industry. You have to bear in mind Tribune, which granted was a much larger company, was bought for, I think, $12 or $13 billion in 2007. So if that gives you a sense of kind of where the fortunes of the big newspaper chains are, that'll tell you.
Guess you got to scale those newspapers as much as you can. All right, Lukas Alpert, thank you so much for that.